Hi everyone, my name is Teddy. So this is my first video I'm making for West Virginia football. So I've been a Mountaineer fan, I would say, most of my life. I moved to the U.S. when I was about 6. I've been a West Virginia fan all my life, but I've never been big on making videos. But this season, I'm going to make an exception because we've got our man Rich Rod back, and I've been so excited since Rich Rod came back. So much that I wanted to make this video. I hope people will watch it, but if not, that's okay too. I'm just so excited to have Rich Rod back, and so that's why I wanted to make this video in honor of him and all the respect I have for him as a coach. I know some people um, for some people they still have some hard feelings towards Rich Rod, but for me, I've always been fond of all the great memories that he provided to us during his first stint with the Mountaineers. Because I remember back in '07 and '06, like those were the great years with guys like Steve Slayton, Pat White, and even before those guys. Because I remember growing up watching guys like Rasheed Marshall, guys like Jason Colson, Avon Coburn, you got Amos Zeroaway, all those greats that contributed to great West Virginia football. I mean, there's been a lot of great players that we've had over the years under Rich Rod. But this video is going to be focusing on my prediction for the upcoming 2025 season. It's going to be Rich Rod's first year. I'm going to try to keep my predictions realistic. Obviously, I'm hopeful and I hope that things would turn out well, but I understand it's going to be his first year. And we're in a bit of a transitional period right now. Obviously, to be honest, my guess is as good as anybody else's because whenever you're going through a transitional period and it's the first year for a new coach, you got to keep your expectation realistic because chances are they're probably not going to be as good of a team as the fans may think he'll be in his first year, but also they might not be as bad of a team as some of the haters might predict him to be. So I'm going to look at the schedule and then I'm going to kind of give my realistic prediction on every game. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into it. Let's see here. So to start off the season, I'm going to look at the schedule right here really quick. Here we go. So we've got the first game of the season for West Virginia football. I got it pulled up now. Okay, so we got Robert Morris. Obviously, realistically, I mean, I think that's a win right there. We've got them at home. I'm not exactly sure how good of a team Robert Morris is, but I mean, at the end of the day, they are an FCS school. I guess anything can happen, but considering what we have coming back, I mean, realistically, I don't see us losing to Robert Morris. Next game of the season at Ohio. That game's a little bit more trickier because Ohio, they've had some good football teams in the past. And last year, they actually finished 11-3, so they're surprisingly good. This is a potential trap here. I think it might be a game where Ohio actually covers, but realistically, I still think West Virginia gets the job done, even on the road at Ohio. Now, if they lose to Ohio early on in the season, that would be a major disappointment. But we've seen some crazy stuff happen in the past. Because I remember Nick Saban in his first year at Alabama, he actually lost to Louisiana Monroe. So could a crazy thing like that happen to Rich Rod? Certainly. I could see them losing Ohio because I remember Rich Rod's first year at West Virginia during his first stint. He lost to a whole bunch of bad teams. I think they finished like 3-9 or something like that. So year one, you never know what could happen. I mean, I could see a crazy scenario of them losing, but I'm still predicting a win for West Virginia. I think it'll be a close win, but I do think they get the W. Next game on the schedule over here, they got Pittsburgh at home. This one's hard. I mean, my heart definitely says West Virginia here because I love the Mountaineers, and also, I mean, as a Mountaineer fan, I'm obligated to hate Pitt, but at the same time, Pitt does have a really good team coming back. So this one's a little harder for me to predict, to be honest. I'm going to say West Virginia wins it barely by a field goal, but I'm being a little biased here. To be honest, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Pitt beats West Virginia here in this game. So I think they start off 3-0. And then the following game, I do think they suffer the first loss of the season. They go on the road to play at Kansas. it's his first year. You got to give Rich Rod a break. So I think they suffer their first loss of the season at the hands of Kansas. After that, the following game, they have Utah at home. Oh, that's another tough one. I mean, Utah, they've had some really good teams over the years. Last year was more of an anomaly. I don't think that was indicative of how good of a team Utah really is, because last year they had so many injuries to quarterback. I think this year with a new quarterback coming in, Utah's probably going to be a much better team than they were a year ago. I'm going to go with Utah. I think they win it by like maybe a field goal or a touchdown, but it's going to be a close one possession game. And then they go on the road to play at BYU. Well, this is going to be the interesting upset game right here. I think after two consecutive losses, I think they actually sneak up on BYU and get an upset win right here, because I think BYU, they don't have nearly as much talent as they have coming back from last season, because it's not the same BYU team as the one that we just saw. If there was the team from the 2024 season, I think BYU would be a much better team than West Virginia, and they probably would have wiped the floor with West Virginia. But 2025 BYU, I don't think they're nearly as good. So I actually give them the upset here, because I feel like every year Rich Rod has the ability to pull off an upset. And I think this might be the biggest upset that they have of the season. So I think they beat BYU. Then the fall game, they go on the road again at UCF. This is a tough one, because UCF is also coming in with a first-year coach. It's a 50-50 game. Since it's Rich Rod's first year, I'm going to be realistic here. I'm going to give it to UCF. I think it's going to be a close one possession game, but I think UCF wins it. So now we're sitting at let's see here. We're sitting at 4-3, which wouldn't be a bad start. I mean, it's not a great start, but it's not a bad start either. They come back home for TCU. I mean, TCU, they've been so up and down the last few years. Oh, this one's hard. But based on what I've seen from Sonny Dykes over the last few years, I think he's a great coach. I'm going with TCU. I think it's going to be very close, but I've got TCU by a field goal there. I do think from there they start bouncing back, because Rich Rod always does this whenever he started getting some doubters. So I do think they bounce back the following week game by beating Houston on the road. And then the really big one against Colorado at home. I have West Virginia upsetting Colorado. So if they get those two wins, I've got them sitting at 6-4. Final two games of the season will be tough, because you want to get to 6. At the very least, you want to get to 7 wins to ensure that you're going to get to a bowl game. At Arizona State, that's going to be hard, because I think Arizona State might be the premier team of the Big 12. If not the premier team, I think at the very least they'll be one of the top teams in the Big 12. I'm going to go with Arizona State there. And then the final game of the regular season against arch nemesis Texas Tech, who's really had West Virginia's numbers over the years. This one's hard. My head is telling me Texas Tech, but my heart is telling me West Virginia. I'm going to probably be a little bit biased here, but I'm going to go with West Virginia. I think they finally get the job done against Texas Tech, maybe by a point or two. Wouldn't surprise me one bit if Texas Tech beats West Virginia. So I think they beat Texas Tech, but they lose to Arizona State. So I have them finishing 7-5 in Rich Rod's first year. So a lot of up and downs, but I think that's exactly what you're going to expect from Rich Rod, at least early on in his tenure at West Virginia, because I mean, right now he's breaking a lot of new players. They got a lot of guys that are coming in from the transfer portal. They just lost a lot of guys as well to graduation and to the transfer portal as well from the Neil Brown era. I think 7-5 will actually be a decent season, because you just want to at least get to a bowl in year one. Considering how bad of a track record we had under Neil Brown, just getting to 7-5, I think that would be a great accomplishment in year one for Rich Rod. And then from here, I just want to see him build things from here. Like, because year one, regardless of whether or not they finish 7-5, or if they finish even worse than that, something like 6-6 or 5-7 or even worse, the key is about building the program up. Because you look at somebody like Kenny Dillingham of Arizona State, for example. I know people are going to say, "Oh, well, he won the Big 12 in his first year. He's a miracle worker." Keep in mind that was year number 2, not year number 1 for Kenny Kenny Dillingham. That was his first year in the Big 12, but not his first year at Arizona State. His first year at Arizona State, they finished 3-9, and they had a lot of bad losses. So that's going to happen in year one, especially when you're trying to rebuild a program. I mean, again, Nick Saban, he lost at Louisiana Monroe in his first year, and his team finished 6-6. So you're always going to have these bad seasons in your year one, more often than not, unless you're inheriting a really good program off of a really good coach. But most of the time, if you're rebuilding, you're probably going to start off with a really bad record. I mean, very few people can end up like Kurt Signetti, where he just comes in and wins right away. That's like I would say, kind of the outlier for coaches. So 7-5, I mean, to me, that would be a good start. And then from there, I want to see some building. So I want to see him like improving the defense, improving guys on the offensive line, which is something that Neil Brown didn't do a very good job of. And then finally, developing guys. So the other thing I always had an issue with the Neil Brown era was the lack of player development. I felt like a lot of the guys never actually got better over time. That's something I've always trusted in Rich Rod during his first stint at West Virginia, because he developed guys like Steve Slayton, Darius Renard. You've also got Pat White, Rasheed Marshall, obviously Avon Coburn, other guys like you have, for example, like on the defensive end as well, like Pac-Man Jones. I mean, a lot of these guys, like they were relatively unknown before they came to Rich Rod's program, and they already made a name for themselves. I mean, you got to give the player a lot of credit as well for putting in the hard work and the dedication, but also a lot of that has to do with coaching as well. When you have great coaching, it leads to development, and it leads to guys developing into great players. But when you have bad coaching, I mean, that you have guys taking a lot of bad tendencies, and then players actually regress over time. And I think that's what you saw a lot in the Neil Brown era. So I want to see some player development on both ends of the football, because I feel like under Neil Brown, that was one of the biggest issues. They were either really bad on offense or really bad on defense. They were just never consistent on both sides of the football. At least not under his tenure. So hopefully right now they can right the wrong of under the Rich Rod era, because I remember under the Rich Rod era in like the golden years, we had some really good football, not only on offense, but defensively we're a really good team as well. You also got to give a lot of credit to his staff as well, because he had one of the best defensive coordinators in the country, in my opinion, at the time, Jeff Castile, because with that 3-3-5 defense, it was absolutely phenomenal. And it was something that a lot of teams wasn't used to facing. Obviously, he's got a new staff now. Hopefully, he can find the right coordinators and the right coaches to develop the players. Yeah, so that's going to do it for me. Like I said before, I'm just kind of making this video for fun because I'm so excited that Rich Rod is back, and I'm really looking forward to see how he develops the program. Let's go Mountaineers. I hope for the best. I mean, the last few years, it's been miserable football watching under the Neil Brown era. I think I want to say it was like probably the Texas game. Yeah, in year number 2, that was when I started giving up on Neil Brown, because I was one of the first people on the Neil Brown, fire Neil Brown bandwagon. Because I remember that Texas game, there was situations where it was 4th down and 1, and he would choose to pass a football. I mean, that was just mind-boggling. And it wasn't like he did it once. He did it on multiple occasions. And there were several situations where I felt like West Virginia would win that football game if he had just opted to run the football and have more faith in his running backs. So just small stuff like that and bad clock management in some of the other games, that just tells me, you know what, this guy, he just doesn't have it. At least not that it factor when it comes to coaching. And then you compound that along with all the blowout losses he suffered over the years. Like, this guy just doesn't have it. I mean, at the very start, I could tell in year number 2 and year number 3, I could tell this guy just doesn't have it. Last year, surprisingly, I actually predicted the correct record. So during Neil Brown's final year, I predicted 6-6. I was actually right on the money on that, believe it or not. I didn't predict every game correctly. Now, that part I admit. but the record I actually got 6-6 correct. Will I be correct again this year? I don't know. But I mean, I actually hope that I'm wrong because, like I said before, I love Rich Rod, and I think he's the right coach for this program. And I hope he exceeds 7-5. I hope he goes out and he wins like 8 or 9 games or even more. But whatever regardless of how he does, whether he does worse than 7-5, or if he does exactly 7-5, or if he does better, like I'm gonna be rooting for Rich Rod all the way. So let's go Mountaineers, and let's hope for a great season. Bye, everyone.